Okay, now where to go?
Yes.
Hmm. Huh. That's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.はい、お願いします。Okay. And we're shooting this angle, so we'll try to keep the action here because we are filming. Development. Okay, I'm developing, I'm getting more ground, I'm getting more centered, I know more, I can do more. Okay. Now let's flip the coin. Transformation. A little different. Development is linear. You've been doing this something for a while, unless you kind of stagnate, you're going to develop. Transformation is in the moment. In the moment. In the moment. Okay? Osensei talked a lot about standing on this floating bridge, okay? Okay, and we tend to imagine a bridge and everything, but let's just say that creation, the raw stuff of things can appear chaotic a bit. You know, let's just say that you got a coin, the underside of it appears chaotic. It's not really chaotic, okay? The top is creation. And transformation is standing on that bridge between the two. You go down there, you go, oh, that's pretty, but easy with it. And the raw stuff, the materials, that design, creation. If we want to get into this, and there's a developmental factor, that's good, develop. All right, Nado Sensei likes Bobby to Bob to Robert to Nado, you know, this is the development. But there's transformation. Transformation. And that bridge, as Osensei put it, the act of standing there is transformation. Okay? Transformation. Okay? Transformation. Now, how does that translate into, let's just, all right? So we're going to transformation, development, a little better, a little bit. Transformation. All right? Transformation. Okay, so we're just a transformation. Okay? Transformation. That can develop, and that's good. You know, a little better here. I'm starting to connect, feel my feet a little bit more. That's all important. But all of a sudden here, transformation. So we're doing a little step back motion and transformation. Okay, so let's use that kind of standing in that place right there. You know, ongoing transformation. The raw stuff, which may sometimes be a little chaotic. Okay, all right. Creation. And right there, standing between those two. My sense currently of what Osensei meant as the floating bridge of heaven. Okay, all right, let's go. Yeah. Okay. All right there. Open. See, that's the whole thing. If we were going to stand where Osensei was standing, we'd be standing, well, he sees heaven and earth. Okay, but he was in the creative space. Okay. Creation needs raw materials. You just relax them. Open. Okay, feel the difference right there? That's where flow happens. When you're in a flowing state, you're creative. Right? You know, right there. Feel that tension? Open. Oh, yeah. Feel the difference right there? Open. Open. All right. See, at that particular place, you know, we all want to be creative. We get locked into old patterns. And then underneath the raw stuff that we need to be creative. And sometimes you go, it's a little scary. Be very easy with it. All right, later when you may interview for college or stuff like that, that's a lot of energy there. They learn to settle with it. Make a good impression. You got a big event or you're going to get juice. Easy with it. Okay? All right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's open it up a little bit more. Good. Good. Yeah. We're still underneath, you know, the word chaos is maybe not good because it's the raw stuff coming up. If you're going to be creative, got to come from somewhere. I don't want to necessarily, it's pretty hard, but can I position myself in a place where I recognize that and that stuff just channels into more creative space. Good, 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 good. Right? Open, expand, right? Energy. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Open it up. 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 If we were to kind of hypothesize about where it's expanded, right? The floating bridge of heaven, with heaven, earth. One of the things about it, let's just say there's a creation, being creator, right? The other side of the coin appears to be chaos, but it's not. It's just the raw stuff of things, right? Where do great ideas come from? They don't come from recycling that. It kind of bubbles up. If you're coming in this direction, then all of a sudden, we have, as we're moving this way, we're moving this. Osensei indicates, Osensei sometimes could be kind of tough because he was standing right at that place. That's why the energies around him were, whoa. You know what I mean? And the point of it is we get so stirred up by that stuff coming up that we want to get, but when we get caught up here, we stagnate. We get used to this and that and this and that, and it's pretty good. And you were standing, and to stand there, you are constantly you are constantly transforming. Creation is transformation, right? So if we can take the raw materials of the universe as they bubble up, I want to create with it. There's a factor here. I got to be very easy there. You see what I mean? Yeah. If we're going to come this way, yeah, we'll go for it. Whatever the movements happen to be right here. We can do this direction, take this one, whatever it is. There's a lot of juice right there. It's been very easy there. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. And now go a little bit of a step back in that motion. Okay. Now what we're doing, we're talking the difference between development and transformation. Okay, so a little bit of development. You step back. Good. Now you got to do that on both sides. You step back. Okay, now there's a lift in the shoulder. There's a little difference. Yes. Okay, now. Potentially. Beginners can do great stuff because they're in beginner's mind. We want to develop, but sometimes we develop, we rigidify, okay? So right about there, boom, back, now all of a sudden, I kind of feel lifted from under, okay? Which means what? You're not just developing, that's a different level of you. You're starting to experience the flow pattern there. Okay, now that's part of development, but we want to go from development into what we call transformation. Right? Oh, now you're easy there. You're easy back. Yes. Now all of a sudden I kind of feel you're lifting me from the roots. It's a different level of you. Easy there. Easy, easy, easy. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay. So if we were to position ourselves in what Osensei called the floating bridge of heaven, you understand, see, the thing about the floating bridge of heaven is a place that creation happens through. And one of the things we're doing there is in order to be in that space and stand on that bridge, we must be creating ourselves. We must be, quote unquote, transforming ourselves. Okay? Now, part of development is understanding transformation. Okay, that's part of development. Okay, Nado Sensei likes Bobby to Bob to Robert to Nado. So there are levels of us. Bobby gets to a certain level, and then he sort of slips into the Robert zone. That's development. Robert goes to Nado. That sort of stuff. Okay. Transformation is a little different. In fact, a lot of teachings, like for example, Zen, they talk about the beginner's mind. I'm an expert, but then again, my thinking is rigidified along a certain pattern. So I'm good, but I've developed to here. Transformation. It's a little different. Little different. Okay? So everybody stretch their legs, but we'll stay down here for a little bit. See, development, I get a little better at dropping my elbows and twisting my hips, and all right, I get a little bit of flow there. Transformation. All right. It's an ongoing event. We must be in transformation. And what's the key word there? Being very easy. It's a tremendous amount of juice. The blueprint, the raw materials of what we're going to create are coming up. All right. And then if we are easy, they go into a more what we call a creative process. You see what I mean? And so what happens is a certain amount of development. But then can we stand on that bridge? Everybody's a little different, so your bridge will be a little different. But the raw materials when they're bubbling up can appear a little chaotic. So you got to be very easy there. I don't know what's going on yet. Oh, okay, I'll be easy with you. Now what's happening is in the act of being easy, I'm shifting levels here. I'm going to control. I don't know it. I know I got to get better at it. That's good, but we're going to pass on that. Easy. So the raw materials need somebody to stand there. Okay. Now Osensei's thing, he didn't say just stand there on the floating bridge. He said Amen no uki hashi ni tata sareru koto, which is a funny construct. Okay. Which is like, in a sense, you must make yourself suffer standing on the floating bridge of heaven. It's a very complex thing. You're just like, stand there. Which means, in some sense, you're choosing to be in that transformational zone. And in that transformational zone, you are transforming. And most of the time, you know, we kind of nap ourselves out, and this is what I can do, and this is all I can do, and this is all I can handle. But when all of a sudden the raw stuff of the universe starts to bubble through us, I don't want to do this. Easy there. You're in the right place. There's even a book about it now, Aikido, The Art of Transformation, which is good. We'll talk about that a little bit. Good. So, you know, here I am trying to do this movement, but if I can kind of stand where he was standing, the raw stuff. It's like the universe is bubbling up constantly. All right, I'm kind of going, I want to hold on to an idea, but I'm easy there. And then what happens through that is something creative. Okay, so that's kind of what we're trying to do a little bit with it today. You know, like for example, boom, it goes both ways. All right, we've been working on up. Boom. Huh? Boom. Boom. Go down here a little bit. Couple of tips. I'm too mental. There's a difference between mind and mental. Those forces tend to push. So that's why that word easy is important. Hello. Instead of an adversary, I'm going to invite him to sit at my dinner table and serve him a great meal. So that's transformation. I got to win. I got to beat him. I got to throw him. No. Settle in. Enjoy the meal. Yeah. Okay. That feeling a little bit. That's transformation. Okay. My mind, instead of being mental, my psychology shifts into somebody who is welcoming, encouraging. Okay. So let's switch to that motion. Again, I can get better up here. That's development. You got to do a little bit of that. We'll show you how your hands and feet move. So you can start to kind of open and be easy in that very vital zone. Okay. All right. Let's change partners. Yeah. And one of the things right there is you shift your psychology, you find that there's a lot more energy. Well, since it was an old man, but according to Nado Sensei, people go walking with him, and he's just walking like an old man. They have to run to keep up with him. A lot of juice there from where he was standing. He was old, but he wasn't old. As I get older, that becomes more attractive to me. Okay, not you, not so attractive, but boom, boom, raw stuff of creation. Boom, there's energy there, isn't there? Yeah, good. Boom. All right, now easy with that. And there's still, yes. All right. Okay. Okay. Instead of trying to put me down, you're going to invite me to sit at the dinner table or the negotiating table. Okay. Let's transfer. Good. And then we work out a deal together. Okay. Inclusive. Okay. That's a shift in psychology, isn't it? Okay. Easy there. Okay. Now, you want to get me to the negotiating table so we can stop this war. But you have your second thoughts. You got to be very welcoming. You feel that? It's a shift in psychology. Yes. And now kind of what I want you to do is realize the amount of energy that's there. You're opening. You're saying, yeah, I'm going to stop this war. I don't know if I really want to stop this war. Somebody else will pick that up. War is big business. I want to keep it going for my own political needs. I want to stop it. I need you to help stop it. Let's sit together. And that shift in psychology frees up a lot. Sitting at that table, there's a lot of energy to how you invite. See that motion there? Since it was an old man. And yet he'd go out, people go out walking with him and they had to run to keep up with him. He wasn't running, he was just walking. But he was in that more transformative zone, wasn't he? As I get older, that's more attractive to me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I thought, gee whiz, I wish I could be more like him, He wasn't outrunning everybody. It's just everybody goes, oh man, oh, he's over there. How do you do that? Okay, so, okay, keep going. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, a lot of times what it really amounts to is that when mind is not mental. In a lot of ways, your mind creates your body. So instead of saying, creation and the stuff of creation was the little mind and body. Sometimes it's a, instead of trying to learn to move, you can invite me to sit at your dinner table. Good. Now, instead of throwing food at me, you're going to serve a great meal. Okay? When you transform your psychology, your mind ceases to be mental. When your mind is mental, it keeps things exactly as they are. Okay? Okay. Now, invite me to sit down at the table. Maybe I haven't made a good impression on you, but yes, now serve me a meal that surprises me. Okay? And that's transformation. What you find is when your mind is, oh no, I don't want to sit with this guy here. Easy there. Your mind is mental. Then your body changes too. That's transformation. Transformation doesn't start, just by doing the same stuff and getting better at it. Good. And it is done. Energy. Well, Osensei was an old man, but nobody's done that stuff anywhere near as well as he did. Right? Yeah. Good. Come sit at the table here. Good. Now I think you'll like this meal. You see what I mean? Right there? The shift in psychology. That's transformation. Because your mind creates your body. But when the mind is mental, everything stays about the same or goes that way as you get older. We're going to go. He's an old man. This stuff we're still trying to do. Okay? Okay. Okay. Everybody stand up, stretch the legs for a bit. Okay. And again, the thing that we've got to realize a lot of ways is that the stuff that Ueshiba Osensei was doing still hasn't been matched. Okay? So, Now, those Sensei puts it this way. Everybody looked at him and said, he's been doing this for the time maybe 50, 60 years. So when I've been doing it for 50, 60 years, I'll be like him. That's what that people would say. Can't be that boy right now, because I've got to do it for another 40 or 50 years. And then, but he was doing some a different track. Okay. If you're just on a developmental track, you don't make it going 40 years into or 50 years into the future. All right. When you're that young, maybe you can develop to a certain amount, but at some point, diminishing returns hits. But Osensei, my understanding, he was in a constant state of transformation. There's that word development. Yes, you're here to develop. You're here to learn about Aikido. And there's a certain linear process here. We have a ranking system. When we get into the new dojo, hopefully sooner as opposed to later, then we'll have more classes. We'll go back to doing the exams and the testing. But what he was doing was very different than what everybody else was doing. In fact, in what famous story, the Osensei goes out to and says, I want to do Aikido like you. I want to do your Aikido. His response was, that's funny. Nobody else does. See, everybody else is there to develop. And the Osensei was kind of there to, he understood that Osensei was on a different track. So if we're kind of this way, we all of a sudden, come on, he's on a different track. All right. So let's just say he talked about standing on what he called that mythical bridge. What was that? We tend to think of the universe as a a thing. But the universe itself was kind of constantly reforming itself. Okay? Materials coming into being, and that we ourselves coming out of the universe have a similar capability of it. Okay? Now, when we start to look at things and measure them, we create what we measure. Okay? Transformation is happening right here, right now. Okay? It's happening inside each of us, unless, of course, we legislate it away by being too mental. And sometimes that raw power of things coming into being, it's a little scary. That's why we're mental. Things are exactly the same. No, that's dialogue. But easy there. Sometimes that can appear kind of chaotic, but in order to create, that's materials. Okay, so we learn to kind of be very easy right here, right now. We're standing on that bridge. We're standing where those raw materials are bubbling up and passing through us into some sort of creative space called a flow. All right. If he's coming at me, for example, we got that sort of motion, or that sort of motion, or that sort of motion, boom. Exactly what that is. Of course, we're doing movements, which we learn and get better at. But the raw stuff of creation is just happening right here. No Sensei was kind of so advanced that what he was creating was harmonious. It was loving. Of course, he was a martial artist. There was power there. But what he was creating, Kakemusu, he wasn't just beating people or punching people or throwing people down. He was trying to enlighten everybody. He would say things like, it's beneficial for your spiritual growth to receive a technique from me. I'm not going to beat you down, but right about here. I'm going to enlighten you. Transformation. Now what happens is I want to get better and I'm going to do that. That's good. But there's that subtle difference between development and transformation. Okay? Now we can, for example, here, take a movement like that. Okay? Now that movement involves stepping back, learning this EQ motion. And there are things that you pick up on the way. For example, here, you notice that when I focus here, a wall is formed. So what I do is I twist the arm, which makes the wall stronger. Right? After I get a little smarter and I push, and then it pushes back. Okay? And boom. The beam of energy. It's a thrusting motion. So even in learning a basic movement, yes, you've got somebody newer. We kind of we put you on a developmental stage for move your feet and everything like that. Then we get you to feel as okay, but then at some point we want to plant some seeds where instead of just development is important, you're transforming. In that moment you're back. Yeah. This technique comes off of both hands being grabbed. We're going to step back. We're going to extend the elbow. And we have an EQ motion. or Q-tips, you got to learn how to pin, which will help you with a certain developmental cycle that goes along with transformation. Okay. But you don't want to just develop. Okay. The real quote unquote magic that he was working came through the transformational element. Okay. So let's switch to the ETO motion, a little bit of structure. We'll kind of coach you on a developmental cycle, but we'll also try to get you into the feel, texture, the transformational zone. Okay? Different partner. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We're kind of curious if, you appear to have the advantage here, but, okay. Oh. See, the thing is, nobody has an advantage because we're kind of in a creation moment together. See what I mean? Because, who has the advantage there? Because you're winning right here. You're right. But okay, here and then boom. It's almost like the more I yield, the more my motion back is enhanced. And the more you open, you're beginning to feel the harmony of those two beats. You see what I mean? So when it's your turn, you've been educated. You see what I mean? And again, education's important. It's about development, but there's education and there's transformation. Okay? I think Osensei wanted us to develop on that educational one, but also to transform. Right? Okay? Yeah. Two hands. Okay, now some development, for example, sometimes you work that way, but be a little easier. You can time your movement as I'm coming before you. Okay. Okay. And you can organize yourself a little better to step back. Okay. You put your hands out. Good. And okay. Now the other thing is when you're looking at me, you can't move. So wide angle lens. But eye contact, that's the other thing. You eye contact or not, but wide angle lens. All of a sudden, take a step back. And first of all, the wide angle lens means that you're opening. I'm not opening, I'm kind of locking in, kind of worrying. Very good. Now step back. Turn the hip. Oh, okay. So what we're doing right now, a little bit of, I call it developmental cycle. Step back. Do the other side because you've done that a couple of times. Good. We got to educate this side too. Good. Rotate your hip. Good. Okay, that's developmental. Now, put your hands out. Back. Ooh. Good. Now that's starting to cook a bit. That's what I call the transformational thing. You got to give it a little bit of information, but then you could go in there forever and you could stay in the third grade forever. You see what I mean? You don't want to do that. Okay? After a while, you'd be the smartest person in the third grade. Then after a while, you'd be the most bored person in the third grade. Okay? It doesn't work. Back. We want to get you to feel the side too, so be easy where you are. Good, 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 good. Yes. I tried that with him. Go. Okay, yeah. Now, smoother, easier, less developmental. Hang with it a little bit and open some more. Okay? Yeah. 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 Sometimes what happens is it appears to stall. Yeah, so sometimes it stalls. Boom, 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 boom. Easy. Easy with it.
Huh.
Raw material stuff of creation. Troubling up. Transforming that into something creative. That sometimes appears a little chaotic. Oh my gosh, everything tightens up. Good. Easy there. He or she who stands on that bridge has to be very easy because you're standing right in that material creation, chaos creation. You're standing right in the middle. You're very easy. Okay, good. That's the idea of it. Okay, that's good. You got the right idea. That's good. That's part of development. What's transformation? Is you get some sort of mind-body meld there. You don't just keep good. All right, that's good. Now, a little bit more development, education, good. And right there, you see I'm a wall.
Yeah.
Good. Hold there for a bit. I'm a wall for a second. Okay, but you have a laser beam. You're going to fire that out my elbow. Now, where are you going to go? You want to go into that wall? That's a Tencon motion. Take it over here. Okay, good. Little bit of education. Don't get carried away with it because education is primarily mental for most people. And step back, create space. Okay, now let go of your ideas for a second. Your ideas are correct, but they want to run everything. Okay, now rotate your hip, rotate your hip. Okay, we're giving you a little bit of a body template there. Okay, standing. You can't stand there with an idea. Feel your breathing. Feel your hips being loose and free. Feel the ground supporting the movement of your hips. Feel your ability right here to create space. And good. Now you're beginning to stand there. There's a developmental cycle there. We want to go a little bit of that to transformation. And right about there, there's a lot of juice. You got to be extra easy with it. You enroll in a course. By the end of the course, you're going to know more than you did at the beginning of the course. Okay, that's just what you call development, education. Transformation is a little different. Good. Now you flip the page right there. Try the other side. Okay, now you're back to your square one there, but you did something to get past that on that side. Easy on the other side. Okay. It's always there. What happens is when you do certain predictable things, you go back in the developmental cycle. And the fact is, you're past that. You're in grad school making third grade mistakes. And until you realize that, you can continue to make the third grade mistakes. In grad school, it's just fatal. right? Yeah, easy there. He can't be easy for you. I can't be easy for you. You got to be easy for yourself right there. What is that floating bridge? Well, it requires somebody to stand on that floating bridge between the raw materials of creation, creating itself, coming into being, and creation. We get caught up in this, but then we get fall asleep in it. And you got to be very easy with that stuff bubbling up. Okay? And then you can get into basically what it is. You're not in Kansas anymore, right? All right, now go again. Come on. Okay, that shows some development at the beginnings of a transformational cycle. All right, you're calmer, you're freer, you're loose, but you're more competent, aren't you? Yeah, don't you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about how it's going to go.
that's cool. When you're transforming, the transformation's supposed to take care of what happened. That's a cool thing about standing where he stood. You know, if he jams me or something, I'll take care of it. Until all of a sudden, you know, instead of seeing Flash and being able to run around him, well, you know, I need to be Superman. Boom. All right. Easy. Yeah, you get caught. Everybody does. So if you're on that transformational cycle, you'll transform into what you need to be. Situationship. Right? Osensei said it. He says, I make mistakes all the time. He says, like, I just correct them so fast nobody realizes it's a mistake. Right? I know just playing music sometimes. If you hit a bad note, but then you get back on track with it, you've all of a sudden expanded your improvisational pattern. And you can I made a mistake, I'm wondering a bit, but I'm right back with it. And it looks good. Right? No mistakes. If you're in the transformational cycle, there are no mistakes. If you're in the developmental cycle, the educational cycle, there are mistakes. Easy there. Okay? Easy. Very easy. Okay? Okay. Yeah. One of the things about development is also like education. Okay. And there's education and there's transformation. And they're different. That word transformation. I remember one time I went to visit this guy named Art Frank, and he was a good friend of this great jazz musician, Chet Baker. And he kind of looked at me once and he said, you know, you pretty much have his sound. And I said, really? Because, you know, all my going is going toot toot, right? And he said, what'd you do to get it? And I said, nothing. I just listened to his recordings and played along with them. Right? And he said, by the way, that's not a compliment. I said, well, I'm not, you know, you didn't do anything. I said, no, I just put his music on and played along with him. I improvised with him. You know, in fact, I was better then than I am now, but, you know, because I didn't know anything, you know, and then, you know, I get this programs to follow chord structure and everything. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing good stuff, right? So there's education, there's transformation. Now the question is, because I had an opportunity, a couple of musicians, we played together, and you know, it was like, oh, I was making some contacts in the music world and everything. Some of them were good, right? And then, yeah, you know, Aikido is where I am. I still play, but it wasn't kind of like almost that. See, when you're standing there on the floating bridge, there's kind of a really cool madness you're in. And I call it, yeah, it's a, you know, because really what it is about, and I want to say this in a way where it doesn't scare you. You're fearless. Doesn't mean, you know, there are things that you should be very concerned about. Okay. But you're not afraid to hang with certain energies or certain situations. And in that particular case, then, you know, when you have that, you trust the transformational cycle you're in, right? And I called Art once, and he was talking about the state of what he called jazz. And he's an old musician. He's a Hall of Fame bebop drummer. And he's just really negative. And he said, yeah, there's nobody that plays like Baker anymore. They're all into da da da. It's just the closest is you. I said, really? He said, and then he's qualified. He said, yeah, but if I told anybody that, they would think I'm nuts. And I said, yes, they would, Art. They would think you're nuts. I mean, you know. But somehow, you know, I wasn't afraid to go in there and just listen to them and play with them. I mean, you know, if it was person as opposed to the recording, chances are I would have had a lot of weird stuff, right? And I don't know, when the Warriors got really good, you know, I started hitting these half court shots because Curry hit them, you know. And it was kind of like, well, I didn't know I could do this. Now, lately, I haven't been able to do it as well, but that's another question, you know. But what happens there is, you know, a lot of people are just, we get imprisoned by our fear and our own limitations about who we are. In fact, you know, during that period, I'd walk into Target wearing a Warriors t-shirt and people would say, hi, Steph. And I go, I'm not Curry. I don't even look like him. But people go, oh, yeah, hi, Steph, you know, yeah, go to the Y and shoot. And, you know, and there'd be youth basketball, but I'd shoot after that. And, you know, a couple of the grandparents were there. They were both African Americans. They looked at me and said, Stephen Curry. I said, yeah. Well, I mean, I study him, you know, not him. But somehow it's almost like it's really difficult to hang with your own greatness. Okay. Now, in my particular case, what's tricky about it is that, you know, I can appreciate Osensei's greatness, Stephen Curry's greatness, Chet Baker's greatness, and a couple other people, you know. And finding your own greatness, that's another thing. But that's part of standing there. Through that process of transformation, you codify who is transforming. You can't stand there. I mean, somebody can inspire you to stand there somewhat, right? But at some point that runs out. And so you have to find out who you are in that transformational space. Other than that, the transformation will blow you away. Because all that power, the creative essence coming up, is something that's very tappable. Everybody can tap it. Nado Sensei, when he said, I want to do your Aikido, and Nado Sensei said, that's funny, nobody else seems to. And what Nado Sensei heard was, Nado Sensei said, you know, it's so easy, but I can't give it to you. You got to find it for yourself. You can't copy me and get it. You have to be you. Okay? So part of this is we're doing this form, and it has a history of being a transformational art. If you kind of go back into the intricacies of it, if you just look at it as a martial art, yeah, it's fun. You do it a while, you get better at it. But Sensei wanted a personal transformation. To some degree, he wanted a societal transformation. He wanted a global transformation. And part of that global transformation was for us to realize ourselves on a universal level. So, you know, that's kind of where we are with it. And then there are energies and forces. The creation is creation. See, creation itself is a fact, but creation is a process that's ongoing. And so as we stand there, we become creation. And standing there between the raw materials of it and the creative acts is transformation. And transformation, the way that Osensei told it to Nado Sensei those many years ago, it's so easy. It got to be very easy there. Yes, we're gonna learn some more. We're gonna expand our education. We're gonna expand our training capabilities, but it's transformation. There's raw materials bubbling up, passing through us into creative action. And when we're standing there, we're constantly recreating who we are. We become creation. And really, at that point, you don't want to create more war. You don't want to create more stupidity. You want to create, to some degree, the world as it seems to be right now. But as we process and start to engage on this model, we can change the world. It starts here. I'd like the world to be different. I have to be different. Okay? Everybody up, stretch your legs. And it's a movement. It's a nice one because you got heaven, you got earth. But guess what? You're the connector, aren't you? Heaven is kind of my vision of where I'd like things to be. Earth provides me with the opportunities and the materials to do that. But I got to be positioned there. I can't get too caught up there. I get very discouraged because I look at the world going, it's got to be easy there. Obviously, those things bubbling up, there's a lot of juice there. And I could go, well, I don't know. Easy. Not just a thought or idea. So, Ken Chi, heaven, earth, guess what? Heaven's heaven, earth is earth. You're standing right at that midpoint in a transformational. You are recreating yourself as you stand there. Okay? Now everybody knows the technique, except maybe a couple of people. And we go around and we kind of start your educational process with it. But we try to take you pretty quick into the transformational zone. Easy. There's no those Sensei heard. It's so easy. But I can't give it to you. Being that easy takes a bit of training, doesn't it? But what's the training in? When you are transformation, you're very easy with yourself and easy with the world because there are vast forces there. So you learn to breathe it, ground in it, open to it. Yes, and the Aiki here in this zone is something that is part of you. You create the Aiki that we do here in the moment by standing in that position. And then maybe you can do that. You'll find that It's a pattern that, you know, if you're a parent, all right, you have your life experience, but you know what it's like to be a kid. You can add guidance, wisdom, but also be a good claimant. Okay, you see what I mean? So it's a pattern that can help in different ways. Okay, let's change partners. Take it to Tenchi. Yeah, sure. A little different. Shoulder. Yes. Okay. You're a sail on a boat. No wind. Wind comes up. We unfurl the sail. But you got to let the wind come in. What I'm doing right now is giving you an image to replace this. So your psychology changes. Your psychology changes, your mind changes. Your mind changes, your body changes. The change in mind and body allow that raw stuff to come up and you can be creative with it. Yes. Yes. Okay? Don't paint yourself in the corner. The corner's fine. As long as you understand that there is no corner. Okay? Okay. That's your starting place. Doesn't have to be. You start there, but it doesn't stay there. Okay? Feel the difference right there? After a while, you can start from a mistake. You know, okay, good.
Hey.
And after a while, you don't want to stay in a mistake. Whatever the movement happens to be. Huh? Okay, then go back to here, back to here, back to here, back to here, back to here. All right. And sometimes people say Aikido can be dance-like. Now, when it's done well, there's a dance-like sense to it because it's not about a sport. But if you try to turn it into dance, it's another lineage. It's still martial art, but on the other hand, when it's done well, it's like a dance. So it is. You just mix the raw materials. You got this vision of wanting to be more dance-like. Gotta mix this a little better. It's just being the idea that it's a dance because it has a dance-like quality to it. And unless you get it's an idea. And then what happens if somebody comes in, they don't want to dance with you, you go, well, screw this, right? Okay, good. Right, right. But the position right there is important. Don't take advantage of that. So sometimes a little, easy there. Because this is what we're creating. This is the raw materials, but it has to pass through us. That's why Osensei did stand on the floating bridge of heaven, but what he didn't tell a lot of people, you are in a constant state of transformation. You're easy with it. You know you're in the right place, ingesting the right choices. You know where you want to go. You have a good vision. But you got to be right there for the creation to happen through you. You can't say, I'd like that to happen. Look at all that stuff. It looks kind of ugly. Right? And that's an important thing. Okay, keep going. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to a little bit of education. Okay, education is important. Put that foot forward. Good. The hand attached to the backside is the heaven hand, which means this side is the earth hand, isn't it? Now you put the other foot forward. Okay, the back foot is now your left side. So that's the heaven side. That's the earth side, isn't it? Okay, now you start out either way. Just put a side forward. Okay. Now, education, which means now we're taking information, we're adding up to it. The heavens is connected to your hips. What? Just like that. Connected to your hips. But we got the earth side, turn your hip the other way, and oh, look what happened. Okay? That's kind of what we call education development. Important. Now, your energy. I know we want to create this design, but there are energies that come through you. So you got to be very easy with it. Easy. And your hip. Okay, now which way? Turn it originally for you in the heaven direction. Again, that. Now turn it back towards you. Okay? Repeat that same pattern. Repetition is important when you first rotate back. Very good. Now we're going to reverse it. So you're going to rotate towards the heaven side. Again, then now rotate back towards the earth side. Very good. You know, as you get a little better, it just seems like it's right there. But it jams up. So see how it rotates this way? And then it rotates back. That's development. Eventually you go like that, they'll fall down and you go, this is cool. And that may happen in another 10 minutes. Okay? That's transformation. You get too good at this, you stay in a developmental cycle and you top out from it. No sense they didn't want us to do that. You know? I mean, you could be negative and say this, the human race is being really people's right now. You got climate change, you got a big election, and everybody seems dumb. Easy there. Yes, we feel it. And easy. Right? Because no matter who's president, we can't stop developing. In fact, if a certain person becomes president, it's going to make things worse, which means more energy for transformation are going to come up. It can be harder. Right? Yeah. We're going to really have to settle and really have to say, okay, I know the world can be this way.
Somebody else.
Draw from people who, it's gonna be, you know, I mean, I hope we don't have to do that personally, because I'm going to be. Okay, all right,
But thank you.
all right. Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Okay, now what I kind of want you to, good. Rocket launcher. Rocket man. Boom. Now we can make it a little bit more like that, and you know, like a little smoother. Hold this one. Good, boom. But the fact of it is, got it. Good. Boom. Got it. Got it. Good. Boom. Boom. It's almost like I got a jetpack on. All I got to do is commando Cody before Iron Man.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm cool.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
I know this whole evil den is going to explode in 10 seconds. So I'll be out of here. I got my jetpack, that sort of
Sure.
feeling a little bit.
Explosion
I mean,
flies out.
we create a, scenario there. Okay? All right.
Thank you.
Well, okay, good. Okay, go. Okay, now first of all, development. Relax. When this grip comes, don't tighten. Okay, good. So that's development. Very important. Put the other side forward. Okay, now the same thing. I'm going to grip you. There's a tendency you tighten because you get energy. All that stuff bubbles up. Be very easy with it. Okay, good, 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 good. All right. Now, let it bubble up. Where does it want to go? Where does it? Yes. Where does it want to go? It's not just going to bubble up for you. You're supposed to go. If you get a lot of energy, you know what to do with it. Get it relaxed, be easy. That can appear a little chaotic. We know what we want to do. We want to create with that, but it's going to pass through you. Okay. But you're at that age where you're going to do a lot of education development. That's important. Be good at it, but don't stop there. Okay? So when I grab you, open, relax. Where does it want to go? Yes. So you already know the movement. It's just there's a lot of stuff here. Okay. Now, one of the things, for example, as he's got boom, it comes through you really fast after a while. Well, since it was an old man, and he wasn't running, he'd be walking like an old man, and everybody else, well, oh, right? There are movies of him, where he's walking up a shrine and there are people pushing him. The word is he was pulling them with his feet. They appear to be pushing him, but they were trying to. He was just walking like an old man, but his ki was so strong. He was pulling him along, right? And what he was doing, again, what he told him the Osensei, it's just so easy, but I can't give it to you. It's a law, right? You gotta kind of at some point put the work in, the transformational work. You can work. All right. Okay. 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 Yeah. I realized, I'm talking to Steve, there's a really big football game today. 49ers Chiefs replay of the last Super Bowl that we unfortunately lost. And if this had been like 30 years ago, man, that would have been on my mind. I don't think that way anymore. But when the 49ers were there, they transformed football. You had this guy, Joe Montana. They later got Jerry Rice. They had Ronnie Lott. But they had Bill Walsh as a coach. And where I teach now, and I'm not teaching here, is San Jose State. He wasn't at Notre Dame or some football power. He was a little used defensive back at San Jose State University. And somebody asked him how he figured all this stuff out. And he said, oh, I learned a lot about what to do in football by taking a boxing class. Now, a lot of that was the fact he had some imagination. He was not a quarterback. He was a defensive player. But if you're a defender, you got to understand offense. He made his fortune, so to speak, with his offensive mind. and he was at a Division I, San Jose State, little used on the bench, but he transformed football. They don't say the Bill Walsh offense, they used to say the West Coast offense. They want to say the Bill Walsh offense. And since then, I don't know, 49ers haven't done much. They sort of rode his energy for a while. I don't like the current NFL, so I don't follow it anymore. So I follow the Warriors. And they're still on their transformational cycle. All right. There's a little guy, relatively speaking, who's about 6'3" in sneakers, who could shoot the ball out to 40 feet, who transformed the game. Literally. And they had a coach, still do, who had this design. And his design was to create chaos for the other team. Because when you have to defend out to 40 feet, you create a lot of opportunities for your team. All right, there's one guy that can do that right now. And we saw him in the Olympics. And we saw him make an impossible shot to seal the Olympic victory, the golden dagger. That's transformation. So, when sports are transformational, I'm interested. When they're sports to be sports, I'm not. Okay? Likewise, most anything, whether it's music or anything else. The transformation is where the excitement is, but it's also part of the excitement. It can be a little scary because that raw stuff bubbling up, or since they called, where does it bubble up from? The land of the roots. And it can appear a little chaotic. Sometimes it can appear kind of dark because I'm in my everyday mind reacting by being mental to it. So for a couple of you, I tried to work about shifting your psychology, giving you a different template, because when your mind changes, it affects your body. When your mind and body kind of start to transform, energies come through that transformational state. So I try to give you a feeling for how those energies are. And then you're in a feel state. Now it's very natural to go back into the developmental educational phase. But I knew, I went to grad school and I got out of there with a degree because I wanted to go to Japan, and my parents would have been really angry if I just didn't complete my education and went to Japan. So I got a degree, I went to Japan. But I was also offered a full-time doctoral fellowship. Went to Japan and passed on it. Became an Aikido teacher because that's what the transformation was. I looked at all the PhDs and I thought, you guys are a bunch of losers that know more than other people. And so you make the state tests to prove that we don't know as much as you. And, I was fortunate enough, that I kind of contrasted them with my Tai Chi master, Master Choi. He was a master. He didn't make me feel like I was an idiot. In fact, he encouraged me. I was going to Japan and he certified me before I went. Before I got a black belt going to Japan, I was a Tai Chi instructor. And so he told me on the way out, he says, you have my permission when you travel abroad to enter full contact competition, but you have to tell people you're my student. I said, cool. Because there's no way I'm going to go and go into full contact matches. But he apparently had a pretty high opinion of me. Okay. But I knew he had something that the professors didn't have. And then when I went to Japan, I met people like Osensei and Tojima Sensei and Yonashi Sensei, and they had something that the professors didn't have. So it was an easy choice to say, nope. So education is funny because education is important. But on the other hand, there's transformation. And part of me realized, yeah, Aikido is about transformation. So that's where I went. Years ago, when the Warriors had their big run, Kevin Durant decided to play with the Warriors. And he didn't know where he was going to go. So he goes to his old AAU coach and says, Coach, this is what I want to do. I don't think I can do this playing for Oklahoma City. So give me this is what I want, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And this coach, you know what his coach said? If you want to do that, go play with the Warriors. Why? Because they're playing a transformational level of basketball. They changed the game. And some of the players are older now, but that continued in the Olympics. Curry didn't, I mean, Curry won the Olympics as much as any one player can. It wasn't KD, it wasn't LeBron, it wasn't any of the young guys coming up there. Everybody's like, well, these are the future. It was this old guy. Because, just like Sadahadu, he realized, Osensei put him on one foot and said, learn to wait, not for strike three. And he began to realize at the moment, and that ability to strike the ball with a swing was one thing. Transformation. And it's almost like there was KD with the ball and Curry being double teamed. And there was LeBron wide open in the corner. Horrible play. KD throws the ball back to Curry, who's being double teamed. But that's the moment for me. That's where transformation happens. When we are easy in that moment, and we create the character who can stand in that moment. And what he created was, to be honest with you, after 50 or 60 years of watching and some degree playing basketball when I was younger, that's the greatest shot I ever saw. And it was like that moment, not an NBA game, but an Olympic game. World watching, France booing, calling him the devil. Double teamed over two super athletic guys that were there just to stop him. And steps back and fires off of one leg from about 35 feet and hits the bottom of the net. Night, night. So when we become equal to the moment, we are in a transformational cycle. And what happens is the moments grow bigger. That's the exciting thing about it. Even on the mat, you'll have your moments where you go, wow, soak there, open there. Cherish those moments. Also cherish yourself, because you have to be equal to the moment for the moment they happen. So O began to realize, and Osensei said, wait on, learn to wait, and not for strike three, by the way. He was creating that Zen moment, or that Aiki moment. And then that moment, and the guy standing on one leg and that string striking the ball was one. Boom. Creation. Pure and simple. And so we have a wonderful, I'm not going to go out there and stand on one leg and hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Okay, not at my age anyway. But this is a great venue for having the opportunity to learn how to stand on that floating bridge. And if we do this, then if you never noticed, the country's not going great right now. But to transform what's out there, we must start here. And as we start to transform here, the moments that are created around us, because that raw force of creation and our ability to do something with it creates a character. and the moments get bigger. Ah, that's creation. Everybody up. So it gets kind of fancy. My version of the golden dagger, I'm being double teamed. Okay, good. Now, more of this motion. All right. This is motion. Notice my hips coordinate with the movement of the feet and the movement of my arms. For some education, my mind freezes. The raw materials of creation bubbling up and getting overwhelmed by them. So I've be easy with them. They have a design to them. Up, down, heaven, earth, boom. As I become more comfortable with that raw stuff bubbling up, character becomes easier, clearer. Whatever vision I have becomes clearer. Then this feeds that as I develop. Okay, we all have our visions for what we want, who we want to be. But we have the technology for it right here. Okay? Right? Yeah. Okay. Yes. These are more advanced, but in some sense, Osensei wasn't worried about the attacker because the attacker was part of the larger movement of harmony that his character was creating, standing between that and that. He couldn't do anything but the Aikido, could he? And therefore the character grew because the character was playing a martial role as the attacker, but he was part of the harmony in that moment. Okay? And so that's kind of what we're looking at with a lot of, we call our more developmental phase right there. Standing on that floating bridge, Osensei with Saishone, first of all. Ame no ukihashi ni tatasareru koto de arimasu. Aikido to you. I'm quoting his words in the Japanese because I like it. I can reciting Shakespeare, right? But literally, the very first thing, in fact, it's the only thing you ever do. Aikido is a matter of making yourself or creating yourself to stand on that floating bridge. And with that floating bridge, as far as I can tell, the raw materials of creation coming into being, the land of the roots, the underworld, which to some degree can be a little scary, or vision, and being he or she who's standing in that in a place of constant transformation. Okay? So we're going to go one more time on that. It's a very important thing. The Tenshin Age is a very good tool for that. But again, there's a difference between development or education and transformation. Let's go. Same partner. Yeah, that's good.
Ah, thank you.
Feel how open it is? Yeah. Now, the development is the standard. There will be a natural developmental process there. But if you just focus on the development, we top out. You know, to some degree, we're like everybody else. With this election, there are so many stupid people out there I can't believe. Right? They don't want to be like them. On the other hand, if if a certain person wins, we got to live with ourselves. We're going to have to wake up every day and deal with that energy, saying, "Okay, don't get dragged down. You got to still stand on that floating bridge." Well, since they had to stand under it when Japan was in a war for very crazy reasons, you have to deal with it, right? So I hope we're not having to deal with that stuff. We're not out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't see it so much as being out there. It's right where you are. Okay. Not right when you're behind them. It's right where you are. Right. Try it where you are. Try it where you are. To some degree, all you're doing is planting the seed, watching it grow. You become the tree. If it's fun. Now, we can also, for example, here, right? We're going to do the motion. Boom. Right? And then it's fancier right here. It's fancier right here. Boom. Right? Boom, boom. Oh, fancier. He did some very fancy things. On the other hand, you saw people trying to mentally copy it. I think he was saying, no, you got to do the work. You got to train. Be the ton ready. Stand there. Being in a constant state of transformation is not easy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I can do it for a little bit, but then I get busy. Literally, right? Right? So that area right there is, he's very advanced.
Yeah.
You know, his model for peace in the world and all that stuff was extremely advanced. Politically, he said, Aikido is true democracy. Why? Because that shouldn't run the world of people. It happens from the ground up through the people, not from the leaders. They're nuts. I'd rather have a certain person than another person, you know. A certain person is talking about the people, and the other person is talking about himself. Right? So at least one of the two is talking about the people and is concerned about both the people that vote for her and vote against her. The other one is kind of like, I'm going to put everybody that didn't vote for me in prison. And the world
Slightly
is,
different visions.
and the world is dumb enough.
Yeah.
They listen to that guy, or they don't listen to it.
Yeah.
He says all this stuff, and they don't listen because they're stupid.
That's half of the stage, half of the country.
Oh yeah, But that probably happened to Japan in World War II,
Right.
right? So, I mean, Osensei went through it and say, you know, we're going through it right now. I hope,
We make a better choice.
I hope that the election turns out. I'm not worrying about the football game today, believe me. Okay. Okay, thank you very much.